Welcome to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. Hello, gorgeous people. Thank you for tuning in to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. I am your host, D. Manuel Cloud, and I am a two-time breast cancer survivor, now 16 years in remission. I am also a breast cancer recovery strategist and a speaker and an author. And today we're going to be sharing the purpose of this YouTube channel is to share stories of inspiration, determination, hope, joy, fulfillment, and talk about how women are thriving on the other side of breast cancer so that those who are still going through their journey or those who have recently completed their journey can know that not only can life be good after breast cancer, but it can be better than ever before. And today we have with us the lovely Diane McNaught, who's going to, did I say your last name right, Diane?
You did, yes.
Okay,
good job.
awesome sauce. Who's going to share with us her story of and her journey and what she's up to now on the other side of breast cancer. So Diane, welcome and thank you for being a part of this series.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I don't mind sharing and I love sharing.
Awesome. So we're going to dive right in. I always like to start out by asking what type of breast cancer diagnosis you had, the age you were at diagnosis, and the treatment plan you opted and chose, because I believe that it helps those who are watching to feel a sense of relatedness to us. So start off telling us the type of diagnosis, age of diagnosis, and the type of treatment you chose.
Sure. I was diagnosed in COVID 2020. I first noticed, and I guess my technical diagnosis was in June of 2020 when they did, and I was 49 years old. They did a biopsy and it came back positive, but my diagnosis changed, and I'll get to that in a second, during my surgery when they did a pathology of the tumor, of the bigger tumor. So yeah, I had ER/PR positive, I'm sorry, negative, so hormone negative, and HER2 positive, and it was stage 2 because of the size of the tumor. And so what happened was diagnosed in June of 2020, and then in October of 2020, I needed a mastectomy on the right. That's where my cancer was because of the size of the tumor and the location to the nipple. But I opted to have my left breast removed as well to decrease reoccurrence chances. So I guess technically, and then so that's when my pathology diagnosis changed, because initially it was just a DCIS with the biopsy in June. And then when I had the mastectomy and they had the bigger tumor to send to pathology, then it upped the level to the hormone negative, HER2 positive, stage 2. And so I then at that time did not need radiation. It was lymph node negative. So hypothetically then contained. So, excuse me. So radiation was not an option because I didn't, because of the diagnosis. They did recommend chemo. Now, a little backstory, I am a registered nurse. So this was very, I don't even know the word. I got to tell you, I've been a nurse for almost 30 years and I've learned so much about cancer. I haven't worked in oncology during my career, but even knowing a little bit about cancer, it has been very enlightening to the fact that there are so many different kinds of cancer in general, so many different kinds of breast cancers. One breast cancer patient, her treatment is going to be completely different to the lady sitting next to her, so I'll get into that because there's a lot of judgment. And I opted to, and not lightly by any means, to not have chemo because I researched and talked to people, talked to survivors, talked to nurses who worked in oncology, and talked it over with my oncologist. And she was very supportive and said, no matter what your choice, I will support you. But that has not always been the case. I know there's a lot of judgment and people just say, the doctor says you should have it, you should have it. So I opted to make my own decision, educated decision. And I don't regret it at all. So whoever's listening to this, whether you past treatment or you're just in the midst of it, I highly encourage you to research. And I know Google can be like a rabbit hole of BS, but as long as you go to reputable sites, universities, the Mayo Clinic, like cancer clinics, I can't think of them offhand, but don't look on blogs, don't look on, places where people are just spitting out stuff that they don't know about, and talk to people who have gone through it, talk to different doctors. I did get a second opinion. I'm up in Washington State in Bellingham, a small town. So I did get a second opinion at the Seattle Cancer Care. And she too said, chemo, 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 and I was like, okay, thanks, thanks, but no thanks.
Uh-huh.
Um, so anyways, to each his own, but that's my long story. And then so treatment wise, then after the mastectomy, I had immediate implant. Well, they were what are they called? The temporary implants. And then I got the implants and then I didn't like them
Okay.
for aesthetics, for feeling. And then I know this is a breast cancer page, but so I'm not going to preach, but I did a lot of research on implants
Great.
and
It's okay.
I didn't
Whatever
like it.
you want to share, whatever you want to share is going to help another woman on this journey. So don't
Yeah.
feel like don't hold back. I want you to
Yeah.
share whatever comes up for you because I believe that whatever comes up for you is a divine download
Yeah.
from God, the universe, the source, the spirit, and
Right.
something that some woman listening to this episode is going to need to hear. So let it all out, Diane.
Okay. Okay.
You're
Cool.
free to be Diane here.
And that is actually my mom up in Canada. She had a friend at church that was the oncology nurse, and she's the one that I spoke to in length about my treatment choice. And she was an oncology nurse for like 20 years. And let me tell you the stories that she couldn't work in it anymore. She just couldn't. And I won't get into that. But yeah, so she was very supportive. And my point being, like what you just said, is that one of the things that really stuck with me, what she said, if you don't want the chemo, it doesn't feel right to you, and you're sitting there and the infusion's going in and you're thinking it's poison, then that energy is what you're bringing to your body, is that negative energy and that poison, so I guess the same falls for the implants. I read up on them. I didn't feel good with them. They didn't look good. They didn't feel good. My body looked, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the surgeon's fault by any means, but it was just something personal. So I wanted them out. I didn't want a foreign body in my body. And so I opted to go have more surgeries. So for about 2 years, I was going surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery. And I think I had a total of 6. I can't remember now. And so I had the deep procedure. I don't know if you're familiar with it or you want me to explain it, but in a nutshell, they take fat from another part of your body, which for me, it was the deep is the stomach, the lower abdomen. You can also take from the flank, from your side. I think you can take from your hip as well. But the most common, I believe, is the stomach. And they basically transplant the fat with vessels, so it's living tissue in here. And so I got these. So and they feel great. I mean, I don't have nipples, so that's down the line. I'm gonna get the tattoos. You don't have to. You can even get they can make nipples for you. You can leave it, you can tattoo it. There's a deep procedure Facebook support group, and you'll see women share their stories. And it is a big surgery though, so don't take it lightly. For me, it was 12 hours. So yeah, so that's what I went through. So, here I am, 3 years, yeah, 3 and a bit, since removing the cancer, and so far so good. I just actually had a checkup last week. So moving on. Here we are.
So one of the things that stood out the most to me about what you said is self-advocacy, right? You're the third woman, third breast cancer survivor that I've talked with who is promoting self-advocacy and doing what feels right to you. Because to your point, there's so many different types of breast cancer that one woman's treatment is going to be different from the next woman's treatment, and they can be sitting side by side. I
Right.
love that you shared that. The other thing that you shared that stood out to me was that there's so much judgment around what
Hmm.
a woman chooses to do with her body, right? And that, that's a whole different topic. And
Yeah.
we could really go down that rabbit hole, because
Yeah.
when women choose to make choices for our bodies, there's so much judgment out there, regardless of whether that's birth control, regardless of
Yeah.
whether that's breast cancer treatment, whether that's having a baby. There's so much judgment on women
Hmm.
about what we choose to do with our bodies. So I love what you shared about self-advocacy. And let's just go a step further and say that you really have to, in my opinion, get still, meditate, and hear from Gus, that's God, the universe, the source, the spirit,
Yeah, I like
about
that.
what's about what's best for you. So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that, Diane. I think that that's going to be really powerful for other women to hear.
good. Thank you. It has been hard, as much as you say, I'm this and I'm Miss Powerful and I've made my decision. And then, excuse me, I see my oncologist every 6 months now. And last week I saw my doc. I love her. The visit before I saw her PA. And after I left, it was just, regular visit, blah, blah, blah. And I went in the car and started crying because she was so official and cold and kept saying, because I have gained weight. I'm not gonna lie, we'll talk about that later. Many reasons for it, but I've gained a lot of weight since my diagnosis. And I know that, and I know I need to get back in shape and lose the weight. But the comments she made about the best things you can do um, for survival and continued health is weight control and chemotherapy. So, exactly. So I'm like, why say that? Because it's been 3 years. It's not like I can go back and have chemo. So all you're doing is shaming me for making that decision to not have chemo. So even to this day, people, you didn't have chemo? Like, what's wrong with you? You want to die? Like, I know that's what they're thinking. And it's still a judgment that you get, even from the medical community, you know. So it is hard. It's hard when you want something and then you keep feeling that, oh, you shouldn't do that, even though that's what you want, even though that's what you believe. You should do what everybody else does. And that's what pisses me off.
Well, personally, and this is just my opinion, I think that the best thing you can do for staying cancer free is absolutely to manage your weight,
Yeah,
because excess weight is known to have a higher risk of recurrence.
right.
That's fine. And moving your body.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I've ever read, when because I'm a two-time survivor, right? So the first
Mm-hmm.
time I just did whatever the doctors told me to. I went through chemotherapy, radiation, a lumpectomy, and another round of chemotherapy with a drug that was promoted to keep cancer
Mm-hmm.
in remission. And then cancer came back. So you get
Right,
no judgment here from me about denying the chemo, because I did all the things and it came back.
right.
So then I started researching and saying, okay, so how can I help myself? If I've done everything they told me to do and it came back, then how can I help myself? One thing that I know was huge for me was reducing the stress in my life. I had a
Yeah.
lot of unnecessary stress in my
Mm-hmm.
life. And then everything else that I read talked about moving your body and exercising. And to me, I don't think that it has to be a gym. I don't think that it has to be in a track.
No.
But you have to find something that you enjoy doing, because you're more likely to stick with something that you enjoy doing. The
Mm-hmm.
third thing that I believe that can help keep us cancer free is not walking around with emotions like guilt, shame,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
stress, anxiety, all
Yeah.
these what I call low vibrating emotions, but
Yeah.
that we give ourselves grace, and that we love ourselves where we are, and that we continue to do those things that are necessary to optimize not only our physical well-being, but our mental and emotional well-being as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I think. So to your PA.
I know. Trust me, I put a comment in online about her, and I wonder if that's why my next appointment was with my doctor. Because I love my doctor. She makes no judgment. She's just, yeah, she's awesome. And then yeah, Kelly the PA can go somewhere.
So tell me, Diane, what, if any, lessons did you learn along your journey?
A lot, and I'll try to keep it condensed, but um I think my biggest lesson, well, I think there's two big lessons.
Okay.
I was in a very toxic job at the time, and being a nurse, I'm sure you all know, is very stressful. I was actually working from home. So I was working in insurance, doing prior authorizations for different procedures, and the job is fine. It is very stressful in general, but the management, my supervisor, and the company in general was not very supportive. Initially they're like, "Oh, sorry to hear that, yada yada," but I had to take off time for all these surgeries. So I was constantly like, I need a few weeks here, I need a day here, doctor's appointments, the whole gamut of um, all the testing and everything like that. And so from their end, they're probably like, you know, when is she ever going to be here? But I'm sorry, I didn't ask for this. But and there was actually two other women, one other, we all worked remote, so we're in different places in the state mostly. And there was another colleague of mine who also had cancer, different kind, different experience, but she also had to take a lot of time off. And there's another lady who was a social worker, and she had an autoimmune issue that she had to have infusions every other Friday. And so, long story, they just treated us all like crap. You want a day off? No, you can't have a day off. You've had too much time off. No, this is a day off because I want a break, or just go. Anyways, I could go on and on, but it was a very toxic environment, and I actually ended up being fired the day I was supposed to return from my last time off. I was off for a surgery, and also I ended up taking time off for anxiety and stress. And then it ended during that time, I had my last surgery, and I was supposed to come back to work the next day, and they fired me. So it was kind of a silver lining, because I realized I do not want to be in that environment ever again. And it has made me kind of take a look at what it is that I want to do, and what makes me happy. And I think I was just putting up with the job, and putting up with that job, and putting up with this, and putting up with being treated that way, because it's like, well, what else am I going to do? And so they kind of kicked me out. I mean, they literally kicked me out, but but again, like I said, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, a silver lining, whatever you want to call it, because it really it made me realize, I mean, cancer, as we all know, makes you realize life is short, and you got to think about what it is that makes you happy and that fulfills your life. And if you're not doing it, then change the situation, that you have control over that. So they kind of gave me that push. So the last year or so, it's been a year, I've been exploring different things and different ideas, and still not working, but so coming down to the crunch here. But yeah, that was one major lesson, is I guess to sum it up, is don't put up with BS, whether it's in your work or your personal life or whatever. And side note, I'm single, so I haven't had a partner through all of this, and I know it's been hard because of that, but I also see other people with partners who it's been a very big strain on their relationship. So, the grass is always greener, kind of thing. At least my decisions are my decisions. But it has been hard being alone and a single mother, because my son was 6 when I was diagnosed, and COVID was going on. So I was working full time, dealing with cancer, dealing with COVID, and being a single mother with the border closed, and my family's on the other side of the border. So I was literally alone for many, many, many months. But side note, the second lesson or epiphany, I guess, I've had is about my family. And I'm sure a lot of people go through this. I hear this a lot, is the initial diagnosis, the first surgery, they're like so supportive. I get a card. My sister sends, because my mom was able to come over the border because of a medical, they allowed certain people because she needed to help me. So I got a letter from the doctor, got approval at the border. So she came down for a few weeks to help me out. Mind you, my mom is in her 70s. So there's only so much help, but she was, she was a help. And she brought all this food that my sister made, casseroles and frozen soups and everything, and it was great. And then after that surgery to get rid of the cancer, then the support kind of dwindled over the years because I know that they're thinking, oh, the cancer's gone, you're fine. And that's, I'm sure, why you're doing what you're doing, because that's what a lot of people get is, oh, you're fine, the cancer's gone. Really? Am I? Because I don't feel fine. So yeah, that I think has been my second lesson is the family. I love them. I'll always love them, but I have realized their understanding and their support only goes so far. And I even wrote them a letter. Sorry to interrupt. I even wrote them a letter at some point, just expressing my love for them and thank you for your support. But this is what I'm going through right now. And the cancer never goes away in your head. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It goes from, I think, I was thinking about that this morning, that the worry and the stress of cancer coming back dwindles. And right now for me, it's like a 2%. I don't really worry about it anymore. In my mind, I know it's not coming back. At least maybe in my 90s, maybe I don't know. But I don't worry about it anymore. But I did for the longest time, and they were not there for me. And so that's the lesson, I think, the big, okay, I need to just stop living for them, like doing for them. And I won't get into the details, but you know what I mean? It's my life. And if they don't want to be here to support me, then that's fine. It was
But
really hard.
you did get support. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. So I did find a group similar to yours, I believe, but it's a women's only group, but no any kind of cancer. And so it was an after treatment cancer support group, and that is probably what helped me, like 100%. I love and we meet. It was she does have a free Facebook page, and then she has a paid program, and I went through the paid program, and the ladies from that program, we meet once a month on Zoom. It's just a free like get together. How you doing? Share your wins. And I've made friends, excuse me, through there. And actually, one of the ladies that went through the DEEP procedure, she educated me on it, and probably was the reason that I ended up having this, because I was expressing my dissatisfaction with the implants and yada yada. So yeah, I've met some. It's sad because they're all over the world, or all over the States mostly, but I never get to see them. I just want to hug them all, I want to have a big get together and a big party with all these women. And yeah, I mean, I want to say life-saving, but I guess the life-saving in the sense of your emotional life and your spiritual life and that life is that I've built this sisterhood friendship with these women, and it's been amazing. So I applaud what you do, because it is definitely needed. Because I remember my first conversation when I had reached out to this lady, and she got on the phone with me, and I was just bawling my eyes out. And she's, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm so sad. I'm so down. And I'm like, I should be happy because I'm alive. I should be happy because of this. I should be happy, but I don't know why I'm not, And that's probably what a lot of women go through, is like, why am I so like just this cloud hanging over?
Well, I think because to your point, there is this space of when we go through this thing, when we're in the eye of the storm, we have support coming out the wazoo, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because everybody is afraid with us. I call them our
Mhm.
co-survivors. Our co-survivors are afraid with us. But once the cancer is gone, they don't, and they can't possibly understand the emotional
Yeah.
and mental turmoil that continues to plague us until it doesn't. And for
Right.
each woman, that can be different. For one woman, it can be a year down the road. For another woman, it can be 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
But part of the reason I became a breast cancer recovery strategist because I recognized the gap. the gap between when treatment ends and to when you start to feel a sense of empowerment again, right?
Hmm.
And not
Hmm.
just normalcy, because I'm not going for normal in
No.
my programs. I'm going for better than ever before. So I
Yeah.
want women to leave my space feeling empowered. And
Yeah.
I love what you shared also about partners. And I know that you acknowledge that you're single, but what cancer can do is I say it unveils the
Mm.
relationship. And
Yeah.
it's going to expose it. It's either going
Yeah.
to make it stronger or it's going to break the ties that bind, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's up to the co-survivor and the survivor to determine how we're going to allow this to affect our relationship, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You also said one of the things, the lessons that you learned is to do what makes you happy, whether that's a job, a relationship, or whatever. Don't stay anywhere where you're not feeling fulfilled and happy. And I think that that is very profound. And I hope that anybody listening to this recording takes that away. Like, cancer has taught us that life is short and that it is too short to be doing anything that we're not happy doing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that. So thank you for all those bombs of wisdom you've been dropping. Diane, tell us now what it means to you to thrive and how that shows up in your life post cancer.
Um, in all honesty, I know what I want. I'm still working on it. And I think anybody who says, a year after they've finished cancer treatment, that their life is completely full they might be, I don't want to say lying, but it's a long road, and I think it's not just the recovery from cancer, it's that I'm back into the regular BS of life, So that's what I'm dealing with now is that, okay, I don't have a job. I'm trying to figure things out. I mean, I'm middle-aged, whatever. I'm sure a lot of people go through what I'm going through, cancer or no cancer, but I mean, the bottom line is I am job hunting because I kind of have to, but it just makes me cringe to think about going back to that. But I
Mhm.
think if I do go back because of financial reasons, it's going to be with a different attitude. It's going to be while I'm working on my other stuff that makes me happy. So, um, yeah, to thrive, I think that's a big one. And I did look at it ahead of time, and I had something prepared, and I think it just means a full balanced life, like it's to continue learning, to continue exploring, to continue finding joy, and being fulfilled, and I think yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't know at what age, 30, 40, 50, you get kind of in this rut of working or just doing, and you forget and that go take a walk in nature, go sit in silence, go and explore, go and you know what I mean? Like get out of that routine of, and especially for those of us who have been working for other people, making them money, making them happy, um, just to take a minute to sit and stop and find what is your joy and live that for you, because at the end of the day, you're replaceable. I'm sure they've replaced me by now, and they've moved on. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
No, what I heard you say is do what's going to bring you joy. That thriving means appreciating and finding joy in all things, right? In the little things.
mhm,
And it's okay. Thank you, first of all, Diane, for your vulnerability and saying, I'm still not where I want to be. And I'm working on that. Because what I've learned from my breast cancer journey is that I don't want to settle anymore, that I want to
yeah,
be in a space where I am completely fulfilled and happy. And that's what it means to you to thrive, is what I heard you say.
yeah,
So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for saying, it still ain't exactly how I want it, but I am on my way. And I believe
yeah,
that so many women will be able to resonate with that because, to your point, it's a journey. It's a long process. It's a long journey, and everybody's journey can look different,
Yeah, for sure.
and so thank you for just again your acknowledgement that I'm on my way. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I don't know if anybody does a vision board. I'm looking at mine right now. And so I kept it the same as last year, but I know some people choose a word for the year. And my word last year, and I'm keeping it the same, as love. Love for myself and love for other people. I mean, I could go on and on about this soapbox, but we judge people, we're mean to people, we road rage and shopping cart rage and all this. And I'm just like, just stop. Just
Just
stop.
love.
Just
Yes.
love. I mean that, and so that's my word for the year again, to love others and to bring more love into my life as well.
I love it. My word for this year, I have a vision. Oh, you can't see it. I have a vision board too. It's behind me. But my
Mm-hmm.
word for this year is intention, and to
Mm-hmm.
do everything with intentionality.
Yeah.
And that means to me also loving and putting love out into the world, because I am a firm believer that everything we put out there is what we're going to get back. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting out nastiness and hate and
Yeah.
jealousy, envy, and all these things, that's what I'm going to get back. And I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm always putting out love, joy, peace, happiness, right?
Yeah.
Connection, because that's what I want to receive. Abundance in
Mm-hmm.
all things, because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
want to receive in return. So thank you for that. I love it. Do you have anything you want to share with us, Diane, before we part?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier about if there's anything, how anyone could reach out to me. I don't have any social media. I mean, I do, but it's not, it's just my personal whatever. I don't even know my Instagram. But I'm on Facebook. I'm working on part of my business is that I'm working on the social media stuff. So maybe ask me in 6 months, I might have something interesting, but I'm on Facebook. If anybody wants to reach out for a buddy talk or information, being a nurse, maybe I can help kind of decipher the medical jargon or any of the insurance stuff. But if you find me on Facebook, just it's my name, just Diane McNaught. So if you need any help, shoulder to cry on, whatever, I'm open to that if you want to reach out.
So you can find Diane McNaught on Facebook under Diane McNaught. That's McNaught. Your name will be displayed in the little box
Okay.
when this airs. So thank you so much, Diane, for all of your wisdom, all of your shares, your vulnerability, the gems that you dropped that are going to help other ladies who are on this journey. And thank you for taking the time to be here with me today. So thank you all for tuning in to Thriving on Purpose, the YouTube channel. If you like what you've heard today, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Also, leave a comment for Diane if you'd like to get in touch and be a buddy. And thank y'all for tuning in. Remember, we love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And remember, we're thriving on purpose. Bye for now.